Ever since AEW was officially announced back on the 1st of January 2019, a relentless wave of signings have taken place from the independent scene to either AEW or WWE. But at the same time as all of these independent signings, we've also seen a bunch of disillusioned or frustrated wrestlers, particularly in WWE, desperately trying to get their releases from their contract because now they have a real legitimate opponent, a real legitimate alternative that they can go to instead of just sitting on the sidelines at WWE. Sean Spears wants to flash those fingers to prove he really is perfect in AEW. Dustin Rhodes gave his blood, sweat and tears to an All Elite canvas in exchange for 5 stars, and Jon Moxley arrived at Double or Nothing to put the exclamation mark on the death, for now at least, of Dean Ambrose. Now those are of course just a few examples, but there's one name that's joined AEW that, while perhaps not quite as notable as those others that were mentioned, that is actually quite an interesting case study. You see, especially when you consider the fact that this particular wrestler was actually slated at one point to be part of the Wyatt family, to join the Wyatt family in the role that would eventually be given to one Braun Strowman, and I think we can all agree things worked out pretty good for him, didn't they? So in 2019, a half wrestler, half dinosaur, appeared at AEW's Double or Nothing in the Casino Battle Royal, got a rapturous applause from an elated Las Vegas crowd, showed off their stellar in-ring ability, and then ended up getting signed to a full-time contract with the hottest new promotion in wrestling. Oh, and his name, I should point out, is Luchasaurus, and that in itself is wonderfully ridiculous. But if that isn't ridiculous or wonderful enough, then the fact that this guy was once on the books at WWE and set for a potential huge push, well, that's even more mind-blowing. Enter Austin Mattelson, a 34-year-old pro wrestler who dons an audacious reptile mask, can often be seen carrying a Jungle Boy on his shoulders, and who once went by the name of Judas Devlin while part of the NXT brand in WWE. Now, it was amazing to see this guy get over so quickly with the crowd in Las Vegas, and speaking from my own perspective, me and Andy Murray were watching it here on our What Culture live stream, and we both couldn't help but be in awe and absolutely impressed by this guy who was donning a dinosaur costume, essentially, and in this battle royal. Not least the fact when he actually got in the ring and he could bloody work too. Mattelson was just another faceless trainee when he joined WWE back in 2012, and it was a creative lifetime away from an era when you could actually get away with the kind of gimmick he's managed to establish today. Signing with Vince McMahon shortly before the Performance Center and NXT became the proving ground for new and established talent alike, the newly christened Judas Devlin plowed away in Florida Championship Wrestling with countless others, all of whom must have been thanking their lucky stars when the empty warehouses were replaced by a state-of-the-art gym and Full Sail University. The early days of NXT can still be broadly traced to the product of today. No mean feat considering the 7-year gap, with a number of gimmicks and stories getting breathing room in front of generous and kind crowds. The lack of takeovers before the advent of the network took some much needed structure away, but if things didn't take, they were simply dropped. Now, what may sound cruel was in fact extremely kind. The audience at Full Sail were willing to forget creative missteps just as quick as the performers were themselves. Wyndham Rotunda's remarkable rebirth was proof early on that this new system might actually just work. Husky Harris was a dead brand on a dying roster, but Bray Wyatt, on the other hand, was a fascinating left turn in this new NXT. Wyatt's very own Manson family would soon take the black and gold brand by storm, as Eric Rowan and Luke Harper joined Wyatt, augmenting their leader's look and demeanour, much like Braun Strowman would years later. Meanwhile, Judas Devlin was waiting patiently in the wings for an opportunity to come his way, when the future Luchasaurus found himself on the verge of playing a very different animal in WWE. While he was wrestling as Vibora in Lucha Underground, Mattelson gave an interview in Spanish that has since been translated and was recently rediscovered by Reddit user LVC, where Mattelson elaborated on WWE's original plans for him on the main roster. It was definitely an idea. I even recorded a couple of promos along with Bray Wyatt, directed by Dusty. They tested some, Baron Corbin also tried them on. I think I could have had that position, but I got injured. But it was definitely being considered. They thought, well, Judas is the type that fits the most, so I started to have problems with my hip and I needed surgery. I did not recover as fast as they wanted, and that was when Braun arrived and it was very new. But they held it until it was ready, so I never had the opportunity to try it at all. Following this, things didn't quite work out for Mattelson in WWE, but his road from Performance Center hopeful to full-blown dinosaur man in AEW isn't quite as straightforward as one might think. Mattelson was released from WWE in 2014 after not making it really much further than the NXT Largo loop, but despite his obvious passion for wrestling, it would be another kind of debut that he'd find himself making in 2015. Not as a wrestler, but as a contestant on Big Brother USA Season 17. Mattelson was released from WWE in 2014 after not really making it much further than the NXT Largo loop, and despite his obvious passion for wrestling, it would be a very different kind of debut that he'd find himself making in 2015. Not as a wrestler, but as a contestant on Big Brother USA in season 17. He finished 5th overall on the show, and from there, Mattelson would eventually find himself joining Lucha Underground in 2016. He was reborn as Vibora, donning a snake mask and arriving as part of the Reptile Tribe, a role that would help him break into the world of wrestling, but would also see his character eventually killed off after being decapitated by a sword-wielding Johnny Mundo.
It's a shame he wasn't more headstrong. He'll never be the head of a major corporation.
Okay, that'll do.
Okay.
Now, in fairness, while he may have just had his head lopped off on Lucha Underground, which admittedly is slightly inconvenient, Mattelson did manage to develop a character and find a niche genre that managed to connect with the audience. It helped him to develop as a performer, but most importantly, the whole thing got him noticed and got him attention from elsewhere. He worked a string of different shows on the independent circuit under various different aliases, but it was a celebrated 2017 triple threat match for House of Hardcore that really got the wrestling world talking. His first big match as Luchasaurus, Mattelson went up against Matt Riddle and Willie Mack, not only earning the victory, but also gaining critical and audience acclaim too. From that point onwards, Luchasaurus had arrived, and Mattelson had finally found a character, finally found a personality that he felt comfortable with. He would go on from there to strike up a partnership with Jungle Boy as the tag team The Land of the Lost, where they'd then go on to make a bunch of appearances at the likes of Ring of Honor, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and Bar Wrestling. Eventually, much in the same way he stole the pre-show at Double or Nothing, Mattelson's perfect relationship with Jungle Boy would appear as part of Being the Elite, helping make the pair the most recent, and quite possibly the last, organic success story ahead of AEW's October television launch. So with a career that once looked to be on the verge of extinction, Mattelson's decision-making and drive has found himself returning to the spotlight once again, a fairly big spotlight and one that seems far brighter than he ever would have had standing behind Bray Wyatt's lantern in WWE. We'll have to wait and see how well Luchasaurus does in AEW. It's still very early days for him and the company, in fairness, but for now though, there's one very important reason why we should all just be getting behind him regardless. He's a fucking dinosaur! How the can you not like that? Anyway, that's it. That's our video on how Luchasaurus was almost part of the Wyatt family. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and share. Hit the old subscribe button if you haven't already. You can find the original article for this by Michael Hamflett at whatculture.com/WWE. You can follow What Culture on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. You can follow me on Twitter at It's Adam Nicholas, or if you just want some more videos, there should be some just over here somewhere. I'm Adam Nicholas, and I will see you next time.
Hello What Culture, my name is Simon Miller, and today I have an announcement so big, so huge, it's gonna shatter the very foundations of your life to the point you may need to phone up a friend and say, I don't even know who I am anymore, I have just heard the news, have you heard the news? They'll probably say, no, I haven't heard the news, but you're already on the phone to them, you've already connected with them, so I would appreciate it if you either tell them the news or send them to this video. Thanks. So what is the news? Well, it's nice and simple. I've heard you out there, I've seen you've been commenting, I've read your tweets, and I can now officially let you know that if you do enjoy Raw ups and downs, if you do enjoy SmackDown ups and downs, that now you'll be able to set your watches to them, you'll be able to make notes in your calendars, because we're gonna have an official time for when they're gonna go live. I know, massive. So Ups and Downs for Raw will go live at 2 p.m. GMT, that's British time every Tuesday, and they will go live at 2 p.m. GMT every Wednesday for SmackDown. So you don't have to be aimlessly walking around anymore going, what do? I wanna know what got up and what got down and what Seth Rollins did or what AJ Styles is up to. Now you know, 2 p.m. GMT Tuesday, 2 p.m. GMT Wednesdays, Ups and Downs coming at you in the face. I realize what I just said, retract that, keep moving on, and I hope to see you there soon. And I hope that we build an audience so big that if I ever wanted to march an army anywhere in the world, I could, and we'd call it the Ups and Downs Army, because I haven't come up with a better name. So yes, just to reiterate, Raw Ups and Downs, 2 p.m. GMT Tuesday, SmackDown Ups and Downs, 2 p.m. GMT Wednesday. I cannot wait to bring this brand new era in, and unlike other brand new eras, I've already let you know exactly what you can expect to see. Come on, 2019, Kenny Omega, we don't know where he's going, but you do know, and you can always rely on Ups and Downs.